Ratings for Disney ABC's The View have exploded after the election, but it is not for any good reason that Disney would ever desire. The ladies of The View have gone crazy, and now people are tuning in for Schadenfreude. Today we'll tell you what's going on with advertisers apparently quite worried about what's going on, legal apologies one after the other, and a bakery that is miffed over the bitter muffins of The View. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel that continues doing what we do, and that is explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It's sunny here at the studio, but it is not sunny wherever The View is recorded because it is a new day and a new way for them to screw up for the Disney company. How much longer will Disney let it go? Will Sunny Hostin, who is very unsunny, and Joy Behar, who is very unjoyful, will they be allowed to desecrate the House of Mouse and daytime advertising? We'll tell you what's going on right now. Out of Regal News, says U.S. News, I guess that's us. Among declining ratings and threat of lawsuit, Sunny Hostin was forced to issue a legal note on The View that Matt Gaetz was found to have done nothing wrong. All The View does is lie, says a concerned citizen. Now, the reason this is newsworthy is because The View is enjoying fantastic ratings. I don't know if you have all heard this, but The View is doing wonderfully well after the election. But it's still not swell for Disney, and we're going to explain why. First, I want you to see the crazy zaniness that's happening on The View, and then you might have some inclination as to why Disney is saying, oh no, as more people tune in. Here we go.
On screen. Sunny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi.
She looks so happy to be giving
Dude,
Oh man,
dude, in my video,
Look on your face.
I know in my video, I make sure that I pause every time she looks like a sourpuss.
Yeah,
like
when
this.
you're done here, go look at Culture's
It
video.
was so
Mel
funny.
Mel Gibson looked happier when he had to apologize.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
She is-
she's just like, how dare you?
So
the
if you
lips
read-
get me every
If you
time.
read the
Picture
micro
is worth
expressions,
1,000 words.
exactly. Yeah, if you read the micro expressions on her face, because I know Pro's going to pause it every time she looks like she's going to chew through a fence. She is so angry. She is mad. She hates everybody on the set. She hates the lawyer that's making her do this in real time. It's precious. I love it.
She looks like somebody on set had 8 deviled eggs and then purposefully soiled themselves next to her. And she's angry about it.
She's forced to work through it.
Let's hear what she says.
When somebody cropped
Matt
Dustin.
Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
Jonas, whose DOJ was that?
That would be the Biden administration's Department of Justice.
Oh, okay. Now, I'm not here to tell you anything about Matt Gaetz. I'm not here to tell you we're for or against. Politics, not our forte here.
Although
Although
if those guys
couldn't.
couldn't get him, chances are nobody else can either.
Exactly, Lou. And so, innocent until proven guilty is still the standard of the land here in the United States, although some wanted to tell it scram.
Can I tell you something about standards as the
Tell me, please.
person who might remember them from bygone years?
Practices and standards. What do you got?
We have all seen political talk shows for these many years. We have all seen instances where they go over the line and the next day they have to issue a retraction or an apology or something of that nature, right? Right. Did we know that The View has a permanent legal babysitter to instantly jump in with this kind of thing the moment they do that? That's news in itself, is it not?
That's
that
true.
they are so worried about these women that they've got a full-time permanent junior Birdman lawyer whose job is to push the blooper button and make them recant at the moment of commitment.
That was my favorite note that you sent me. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. They aren't sitting there normal.
By the
I'm
way,
just a small town bird lawyer.
you all are exactly right. Thank you, Lou, for that, because they are on the ready because the View ladies have gone full blown crazy. What are we talking about? Well, take a look at this. This is the response after Whoopi Goldberg decided to malign a bakery. And she didn't name the bakery, But she said whatever bakery it was, that they were evil, awful, terrible people who didn't deliver for her because of her politics. And then it turned out that you could easily identify the bakery using the little cups that the pastries came in. So now Whoopi's in trouble because, well, it just so happens that it had nothing to do with politics at all. It had everything to do with a boiler issue that meant that they were worried they could not fulfill the order. Here's that response to The View. And again, folks, remember, we're going to come back to the idea that The View is having tremendous ratings right now, and Disney is hating it. We'll explain. Here's the response from the bakery owner after Whoopi gave her a whoopin' on TV. First time I've ever got to say whoopin' with an apostrophe. Love it.
Jill, who has had to endure something that she shouldn't have to endure. These people are up at 3 or 4 o'clock every morning. The sacrifices they've made, the holidays they've missed with their families. To make Staten Island better, they have sacrificed for 145 years. Rutherford B. Hayes was the
Bakery's been around for more than a century. Whoopi's trying to take it out.
president of the United States, for God's sakes. And they're still here, and they're still strong, and they're not going anywhere, despite what other people on television have to say. And frankly, the people who defamed the Holterman family should apologize to the Holterman family for making stuff up.
Whoopee!
To suit their needs. Not everybody wakes up every day and thinks.
I hear somebody trying to get in. Who's got a comment right now?
Oh, that would be me about Vito Fossella. You know how we all know that Nancy Pelosi started her career when her father was the Democratic boss on Staten Island? He and Vito were the opposite number to each other. That's how far this guy goes back in politics on Staten Island. So
wow.
He's been around.
He used to joust with Nancy Pelosi's daddy. Huh. So yeah,
well, maybe they were jousting over which cupcake to get: bear claws versus apple fritters. I don't know.
Could be.
You know, hey Lou,
A good business person doesn't care about anybody's politics. So with that, I'd like to call up Jill Holterman Bowers. She deserves 110% support. Jill, come on.
It's a community that I have to tell you, I'm so overwhelmed by the support between finding out yesterday this even happened, getting phone calls, and then people coming in, people from all over just supporting us in every way. We had phone calls yesterday from Alabama. Guy says, I'm going to give you $50. Send it to a school. Send them donuts. Send them cupcakes. The support has been so overwhelming.
So the response to Whoopi trying to malign this poor bakery that had a boiler issue that they were worried they could not fulfill her giant order has backfired tremendously on The View. And yet The View is scoring its highest viewership in a decade. This is Variety by Michael Snyder, and we'll hand it over to the panel in just a second. By the way, I apologize for that. Michael Schneider, I think, is correctly pronounced. Let me show you this real quick, and then panel, have at it. The election results weighed heavily last week on The View hosts and perhaps its viewers as well, as they tuned in masse to give the daytime talker its best week-long ratings in more than 3.5 years. According to ABC analysis of Nielsen data, The View averaged just over 3 million viewers during the week of November 4th, making it tops among daytime broadcast network talk and news shows. Specifically on Wednesday, November 6th, the day after the election, The View attracted 4.4 and rounding up 4.5 million viewers, which made it the show's most watched episode since Barbara Walters' Farewell episode on May 16th, 2014. But panel, here's what I want to ask you about. Do you think Disney is happy having these kinds of ratings when it's Schadenfreude that's making it happen? When it's a circus that is drawing the crowd into the tent? The View is off the rails. That's why people are tuning in. Not for great analysis, but to laugh and to mock the miserable ladies of The View. Culture, you were trying to get in a minute ago. I'll give you the first word, and we'll go to Marvin.
Oh yeah, I found this hilarious. I watched it a billion times. I made my own supercut of the moments leading into it where Sonny said ridiculous things, and then the 2 minutes later she said she had to make this huge apology. So look, I've had more fun with it than I should be able to, but I know Disney is disappointed because this is not how they wanted to promote their dying news network, ABC. They don't want this to be, the display of of the Schadenfreude, as you properly named it. I think they would like to be known for something good. Instead, Disney is being known across the board in every aspect of business they find themselves participating in as the bad guy and doing a poor job. And we can talk about that in theme parks, but we can especially talk about it in news, information, and terrible talk shows. So
one more point we may want to make note of. The pastry in question, which she wanted them to make, and they said they probably couldn't because of the boiler, but eventually she got, is called a Charlotte Russe. In case you don't translate that, that is a charlotte, which is kind of a fancy end bread pudding made to commemorate a particular, and we don't know in history, it's been lost, a Russian personage. So once again, it's Russia, Russia, Russia for these people.
Oh no, the Russians are taking down the View. They're the ones who tricked poor
And
Kane.
Whoopi loves that Russian cake. So what are you going to do?
It's inverted. You're right. Marvin, I'm not sure that Disney's having a good time because the ratings go up, but the advertisers are a little bit stumped as to what it is they're buying into. I think this is not necessarily a safe brand anymore. I think the ladies of View have gone so crazy, so zany that now you may have some advertising partners saying, you know what, there's a lot of eyeballs on this, but we, like Honey Boo Boo, I think we'll pass on being associated.
Yeah. So I think before I get into that, I will just say with this clip here, if the little thing that said Staten Island had not been up there, I would have been able to tell you that this was from Staten Island. But the Disney has I think two major problems here, and I think you hit it on the head there, Pro. Advertisers are not going to want to be associated with a show that could, despite high viewership, continues to put itself in legal hot water, so to speak, and just, show its rear end to the audience every time it goes on. And the second is, yes, it's getting a temporary boost in these ratings. That's temporary. That's not going to last much longer. That's maybe got another 2 weeks in it before the national eye moves on to something else, before the election fever kind of calms down and the prolonged hissy fit stops being funny. So it's just a matter of time before those numbers start to plummet, and then they're left with just their original audience, which is nothing much to begin with anyway.
So I want to go to Lorena and just ask, when we're looking at The View, one of the things that Disney has promised that perhaps points to them moderating their positions and maybe could be jazzing the stock a little bit is that they're going to bring on a conservative, or they're going to bring on a legitimate moderate, which that's extreme for Disney, right? To have a moderate on The View. They don't have any moderates on The View, but they're saying they're going to do that. So Lorena, do you think that would be well received, or do you think that would ruin the circus that is The View to bring on somebody of sensibility?
If they do that, I really don't think that they're going to last very long. Remember, they did this with Meghan McCain, and she was pretty much the punching bag for the rest of the ladies on The View for whatever they were pissed off about when it comes to Republicans. I think, oh my gosh, the actress Raven-Symoné, she was on there for a little bit, and she was actually pretty moderate, center of the road. She got fed up with these heifers and she left.
Yeah. Because you become a pinata, Lorena. Who wants to go in there and be a pinata for these wackos?
That's exactly it. And if you have a strong personality and you punch back at these people, then it's, oh, I can't believe you're beating up on me. I can't believe this. You're just so mean. You're just so that. And let's also remember, the audience for The View is not very informed at all. So it's not, I wouldn't call it representative of America per se. They have their niche audience, and all they want is to be able to espouse their biased opinions, which they're, entitled to, but they're very disingenuous when you have someone on there with an opposite opinion and you can't just fairly debate, but just beat up on this person. And that is red meat for their audience.
Right. Well, if you watch Fox News at 5 p.m., there's a show called The Five, and they will have a token liberal or leftist on the show, but they don't treat that person with absolute disdain. And The View can't hold on to a moderate or conservative because the wackos whack away at the pinata, and the pinata is the moderate, centrist, or they really don't ever put a real conservative on there. It's a moderate or centrist. I want to ask Erica, though. Erica, hearing about this poor lady who's running this 150-year-old bakery, and Whoopi Goldberg, who has a net worth something like, I believe, $60 million, goes after the small business owner. I think that people are getting tired of this. Do you sense that it's recoverable? Do you think people will actually care about what these ladies think, or do you think The View is now literally just for us to watch to see how far in the mud they can go?
I think there's two different camps here. You have, like what Lorena said, you have a niche that's very ignorant and they cling to every word that they say and run with the gossip as, news and truth. And then you have the other camp that I think is boosting the ratings where, they're chiming in to see what stupid thing they're going to say today, and what's the next viral, thing that's going to come out of the show that's going to paint them in a negative light, but it gives people like you guys all kinds of content, and I don't know, I can't stand this show. I do well to tolerate just seeing snippets of what I see from independent journalists and on YouTube. I can't sit and just watch that show because it is just so insulting. I can't stand to see other human beings tear down other human beings like that. I can't stomach that. And I don't understand how any human can be okay with that much hate. I cannot comprehend that. I don't.
Because the basic reason why a real conservative wouldn't bother is simple. There's an old expression that says conservatives think that liberals are stupid or misinformed or mistaken, and liberals think that conservatives are evil. Well, these people are not there to sell their point of view to the undecided. They are there to reconfirm the prejudices of the already sold. Therefore, for a real conservative who would be out there proselytizing their point of view, to go there is pointless because the audience is not open to that message. That's the difference. And by the way, if these people don't understand the power they wield just by having very highly paid and very visible jobs in the media, how many people here have ever had a problem with a waiter or a locksmith or a plumber or anybody in their real lives who do simple basic services like, I don't know, bake their Charlotte Russe? Do you go on your national television show and point arrows at that person? Isn't that a horrible abuse of your power? Isn't that a terrible travesty that you have that clout? And isn't that basically what the nanny state is?
And then there's the other, Whoopi with all that money. Why couldn't she have just, things happen, things just come up. It's just part of business. It's part of life. And why couldn't she just find another bakery? Why is it she was so hung up on this bakery catering to her every need? Just find another bakery.
Because she is the queen, and how dare they? That's the attitude.
But I'll add something in there as well. Actually, I think it's because her mother used to go to that bakery as well. I'm not saying that's an excuse whatsoever, but I think that is why she picked it, because she could have very easily have gone to the Magnolia Bakery and picked up whatever it is that she wanted. However, I think it is really disgusting because people have been throwing around this term racism like it's nothing, like ketchup, to put it on anything. And it's such a vile, disgusting, and very serious charge. So to be able to throw something around that so callously shows how ignorant she is and shows how much of a victim she wants to be portrayed as. Again, like they said, this bakery is 145 years old. I don't want to know how old the plumbing is or anything in there.
Or what they're paying for rent for that bad plumbing.
Exactly. So it's like when it's not like it's a modern kitchen where something goes down and they can just swap it out and fix it right away. You've got over a century, almost a century and a half of architecture and infrastructure that you have to keep in mind. So the fact that she didn't realize that it's really ignorant. It's
What-
very
what-
And you have to
Whoopi's been
remember, hold on just one second. You have to remember that this is owned by Disney. And you have to remember that, even here on this channel, we talk to all of our partners. We talk to the people who are on the panel. We talk with everybody in our network about how you have to consider the megaphone, right? And so you don't grind an axe against somebody. You don't devolve into petty kind of issues with people who don't have the same, level as you in terms of your voice and where it will carry. The View on the day after the election pulled in triple our ratings here on the Pro Channel, and they still don't get that. And they have all the power of Disney behind them, and they're still out there fomenting all of this just putrid animosity towards innocent people. It's insane. Marvin, let's go to you, and then I want to wrap with Vash, because I think Vash has the bow to place on this. Marvin, you first.
I was going to say, Whoopi has been on a tear lately of just complete ridiculous statements that are utterly removed from reality. I mean, it was just a week or two ago where she talked about how with her $60 million net worth that she's a working person just like everybody else, and that she has to work for a living. Otherwise, if I had all the money in the world, I wouldn't be here. On That Park Place, we did an article where we pointed out that, even adjusting for inflation, Whoopi would be able to support herself, for 1,800 years on what she's got. It's absolutely insane. And she goes in there and they can't fulfill her order, and she immediately assumes it must be because of who she is, not because of it being some kind of issue with the equipment. I mean, how disconnected from reality does a person like that have to be? But then you have to also remember she's been in the Hollywood bubble since the 80s. She has no idea what it is to be a regular person anymore.
Yeah.
There you go. Vash, we'll let you give us the final word on it.
I'm going to echo your sentiments, Pro, and definitely lose. There's a responsibility that comes with a broadcast platform like The View, right? And if you think of the vile statements that have come out of The View, at least in this past election cycle, well, it's how you get, let's say, a Butler, Pennsylvania, right? And perhaps, okay, the president-elect did walk out of there, but a fireman wasn't able to go home with his family that night. That's kind of the power of some of these broadcast television programs, and it seems like they forget that. This is why they're quick to go after a Staten Island bakery, or maybe Matt Gaetz himself. Now, I met Matt Gaetz. Seemed like a personable guy, and he seemed very friendly. Met his girlfriend, now fiance, I believe, or I believe it's still his fiance. I don't know if they've gotten married yet, but it seemed very, very nice and lovely people. But when you have an allegation thrust out there by Sonny, well, it continues to destroy his life and his reputation. And, the message gets out there that he's a certain way, even though the DOJ didn't pursue that investigation. So it's these damaging effects from some of these big name platforms right here. I think people are sick of it. And I think November 5th was an indictment on some of those things.
Absolutely. And for folks who don't know, Matt Gaetz has withdrawn his name from Attorney General. So these things do some damage. And Sunny Hostin, she may have some splaining to do. But, when you have the, what would you say, the cacophony of voices all against someone, then it can change the course of politics, whether that's right or wrong. We don't know if Matt Gaetz is guilty, innocent, or any of the above. But it's likely now that he'll be moving into an advisory position instead of being a cabinet position. That's how the cookie crumbles. And folks, we have come to the end yet again. Another video of excellence in the can. What a joy it has been to share time with you. We hope you enjoyed it as well. If so, consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. And as always, drop a comment down below. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. So waste not yours. Join a community dialogue today, just on down below. Folks, we are going to say farewell for now, but we will see you back. 4 is more, and that's how many videos we put out every single day here on the Pro Channel. Hope you enjoy them all. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.